What's going on, everybody? Gleez here, and today in this video we're going to talk about the Liu Kang matchup, and I'm going to give you some advice that you can take moving forward to help you better deal with Liu Kang, his pressure as well as his range game. Alright, so one of the things that you definitely want to do against Liu Kang, in most situations, if your character has a projectile that's somewhat fast, is to keep him out and use your projectiles. Especially projectiles that move forward, so they go through actual screen space, because what Liu Kang is going to oftentimes try to do is flying kick in. You also have to be aware of the startup on your projectile and from what range Liu Kang can clip you with his flying kick before your projectile can come out. So Cabal isn't the best at keeping Liu Kang away because his projectile is somewhat slower. Now you also have characters like Jade, who her projectile is rather slow, the back forward one, but then you also have her low projectile, but he can flying kick over that. Alright, so you have to also keep in mind where the projectile is on the screen and what Liu Kang can do to up his chances of getting in. Another character to consider as far as a move that isn't the best for keeping Liu Kang out because of the way that the flying kick actually works is Scarlet if you're going to use the tongue a lot. You have to make sure that you use the tongue in frame traps and use your back forward too to have a projectile that comes out fast and actually travels across the screen. Also, her blood ball is pretty good if you can set that up in a good situation. But remember, the blood ball is slower on startup. So a Liu Kang player, if he cuts down space to about here, he can fly in and damage you. Also know from full screen that the flying kick actually stops right in front of you. So some good Liu Kangs will actually throw the flying kick out when you're at full screen, and it'll stop in front of you. And a lot of times Liu Kangs go unpunished because of this, because people are holding block and waiting for that flying kick to actually hit them. But he actually stops like right in front of his face, especially if you are backing up as the flying kick comes out. And I'll actually show you what that looks like here. Alright, so you can see right here we have him set to record, and he's going to stop right in front of my face. Alright, so this isn't something that is going to fully come in and hit you. So you have to be aware of that from full screen so you can get your punishes. Alright, and hopefully you don't drop them like I did right there.
Too slow.
Alright, so next I'm going to control Liu Kang, and we're going to go over his pressure, how to deal with it, risk versus reward, and some of your options against what Liu Kang does. Now, his forward 4. Alright, it's a 2-hitting mid, it's 9 frames, it's rather fast, it stuffs a lot of lows, it's really good. Now with the forward 4, 3, up 3, there is a gap between the last hit and the third hit. Now this gap is ginormous. Alright, it allows you to have the option to down poke or use your standing 1-1 or 1-2, whatever your fastest startup is. Hopefully it's 7 frames for your character. And you're able to interrupt that gap and challenge Liu Kang as he comes at you. One of the things that I always keep in mind is the fact that I have to be ready on these staggers to tech a throw. And I typically will be ready to tech the throw after this. So I'll be holding block, and I see this come out. After the second hit, I'm ready to tech a throw. As soon as I see a throw, I'm going to guess which way Liu Kang is going to throw me, but I have to react to it. I can't just push a button because the 3 can come out. Alright, but you have to be ready to tech after this, and if you're going to choose to hold block after the third hit, you also have to be ready to tech a throw at that point. So those are the 2 points in which you have to be ready to tech a throw, and you have to keep that in mind, and having it in your head and understanding that situation will allow you to react better to the throw because you can anticipate that it may be coming. Now, a lot of the mind games come into play after the third hit. So forward 4, 3. So after that, that's where the mind games come into play. And Liu Kang has options, and you have options. And you have to put your opponent in a situation where they are forced to take risk. You can't just hold block and sit there and allow them to do what they do. All right, because they'll stagger you to death. You have to be able to force your opponent to make decisions and use unsafe tactics in order to combat your options. And I'm going to go over what that means here. All right, so you can see right here, we've actually recorded the full string. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge and get a full combo here because the gap is so big. All right, now what can Liu Kang do in order to cover that gap up? All right, because if you consistently do that, they're going to have to go to options in order to, we'll say, combat that. And also another thing, watch this. If I go to stagger again, it actually interrupts that as well. So whether he commits to it or he goes into another stagger, your 1-1 is going to connect every time, and you're going to punish either of those options. And you're going to get a full combo for it. So the risk for Liu Kang to go through the full entire string and to stagger forward 4-3 is high. It's a high risk situation. So what can Liu Kang do in order to combat this? There's three things that Liu Kang can do. You'll often see that. That's uninterruptible. All right, so I cannot interrupt that, even with a down poke, and I'll show you what I mean here. So he may go into that, and I go to poke, and I can't, so now I get hit. But you have to be aware of that, and sometimes you're just going to have to block. And when you block, you have to be able to react to it. So you're going to block, let go of block, and then you're going to move up and go ahead in for your pressure. And this is punishable. So we'll do it again here, just so you can see the punish icon come up. Alright, so we get the punish here. Full combo. Alright. Now another option that Liu Kang has is this. So if I go with a stand 1, alright, he gets a full combo on me. And the parry is good for that, but you can also punish the parry if you wait on it. Whoa, we're out of dodge. So if you do choose to wait, it's a very easy punish. The animation where he can actually parry isn't very long. All right, and you are able to get that punish there. So sometimes being patient can also pay off, but you have to be able to mix it up against a Liu Kang player. You can't just do one thing. You can't just block the whole time. You can't just mash buttons the whole time. It has to be a calculated risk. Now, what is a good way to, if a Liu Kang player is going to do that? A character that has a good fast low. Alright, so my down 3 will beat not only the up 3, but it also beats that, and now it's my turn. I can go for a grab, I can do this, and then I can go for some staggers. Alright, whatever I choose to do. Grab and wake up, my back throw keeps them close if I want to stay close. My far throw throws them far away if I want them far away. Know your options with your character and use them accordingly. If I want to get back to zoning, I'll use my forward throw. If I want to continue pressure, I'll use my back throw. Now, one of the tricky options that a Liu Kang has is just the low fireball by itself. Now, it is punishable, but if you're waiting for the high fireball, oftentimes he'll wind up going safe. All right, so, you know, it makes it kind of tough sometimes to punish that. A good Liu Kang player will vary that in there as it's a way to kind of mix up his unsafe options and try to stay safe. Another good thing for Liu Kang, watch when this hits also, it keeps the opponent standing. So a Liu Kang player could actually, you know, try to get some things going as far as, you know, advancing his pressure goes with that. It's not jailing. But if you're hesitant on buttons, or if you just stand there and block, or if you use a slow button, the forward 4 will stuff you out. All right, so keep that in mind off of that as well. If a Liu Kang ends in bite kick and doesn't meter burn it and leaves you standing, don't hit a button. Don't hit a button because he is plus. If I go to hit a button, I'm going to get stuffed out. All right, so don't hit a button. If he leaves you standing again, like I said, doesn't use the amplify, don't hit a button. The best I'll get is maybe a trade if he messes up. All right, don't hit a button there. As we see, we can go into the move list. As we go to record, we can go into the move list. The bike kick is +3 on hit. Forward 4 is 9 frames. So if you subtract the 3 hits of advantage, you're in a situation where the move's coming out in 6 frames. So most likely, if they get their button forward 4 out 1 frame late, you're going to trade. If they get it out in time, you're going to get full combo punished. And that's if the move doesn't get low crushed by the forward 4. And what I mean by low crushed is it takes priority over your down poke because it's a mid and it still cracks you, even though your down 1 winds up coming out before the forward 4. It still sometimes doesn't matter depending on the character. Depending on the low poke that you use, the forward 4 will just crush that John, and they're in there for a full combo. Notice if a Liu Kang goes into the stance, all right, you can just punish them. All right, the stance is mega negative. All right, you're not able to get the stance going. It's fake news. Don't worry about it. One of the things that a Liu Kang might do is that move, but again, that move, if you're going to challenge, does come out after the stand 1. Alright, so keep that in mind. The move does come out after stand 1. The stance should never really be an issue. You're either blocking or you're challenging. That's it. Alright, I don't do anything in between, like wait or anything like that. I'm either challenging or I am holding block and waiting to attack a grab. Those are the 2 options that I have. All right, I may, if they use a lot of parry, go with down 3. All right, just to make sure or ensure that I'm not getting parried. If they do that a lot, and then advancing my offense from there, because the parry does not parry low attacks. All right, so let's take a look at the forward 3 here. You can see that if someone goes forward 3 and commits to the string, it is fully unsafe. All right, and notice that the 3rd attack comes out super fast. Like boom, boom, boom. And then the last one, there's a little hesitation. All right, notice the way that comes out. Now that will allow you to react to the stagger. Now forward 3 alone is a 2-hit stagger. All right, so let's do this, right? So I'll just demonstrate here. That sucked. You got to make sure that your links are tight when you're practicing. That's pretty good. All right, notice that with any hesitation, you're going to beat it out with a stand 1. All right, so I'll show you that again here. The hesitation. All right, I'm a little bit late and I'm still getting it. All right, so you can challenge him with that. Now, notice again, like I said, look how fast that 3rd hit comes out. And there's actually a gap there. You can hit, but it's not easy. I don't know if I would suggest it, but you can do it if you want. There is a gap there. But he can, still cancel. Let me show you. All right, into something like that. So if you go to, challenge, you can get popped with the parry. You can meter burn at full combo. You can cancel off of that 3rd hit. It's a little more risky to challenge after the 3rd hit because he has those options, and there isn't a very good, distinct visual cue that, to what the Liu Kang is doing. He can cancel that at any time. The very good visual cue is that the 3rd hit comes out super fast. So if you don't see that 3rd hit and you don't see a projectile start up, that's when you know it's a good opportunity to press a button and challenge your opponent. So even here, let's check out the forward 3 stagger into the 1-2, which is one of his fastest moves. As long as we see that little bit of a hesitation after the forward 3, even if we're late, look how late I am on that. We're still able to challenge and win. And the reason why it is because the forward 3 is -9. All right, so that's not really a true stagger in a sense, because you can visually see, and you know that that third hit is usually going to come out super fast, and when you don't see it, you don't see the low projectile, you're able to challenge, and even if you challenge really late like that, we're able to get it. Now, one of the options that Liu Kang does have is just blocking. All right, blocking at times, when you play a patient Liu Kang player and they're blocking and then you're losing your turn. So let's say I go with a down poke, right? I lose my turn, he comes back out at me and he sets me up in another situation for mix-up. A patient Liu Kang player, a Liu Kang player that is oftentimes or sometimes holding block, in situations where some Liu Kang players would take more risk, that's a good Liu Kang player and that's a dangerous Liu Kang player, because you're going to lose your turn often. You're not going to get great reward off of your challenges. So in that situation, sometimes it's best to play a little bit more patiently. Use your grab if you notice that a Liu Kang is oftentimes blocking, but keep in mind that the grab will force you, if he does cancel into the up 3, you're going to get punished, and I'll show you what I mean here. Alright, the grab doesn't come out fast enough. Alright, so you're going to get crushing blow punished if you do go for the grab. So sometimes blocking for a Liu Kang player is actually a really good option, because it can force someone to go in for the grabs and then he gets the crushing blow off of it. Also keep in mind that the up 3 at the end is plus. Do not hit a button afterward. All right, I'll demonstrate that here as well, just so you can see it. Now if I go to hit a button here, can't. Stand 1. Oh, wait. Stand 1, I can't. Alright, notice it's plus. It's 2 plus for me to actually do anything. Alright, so keep that in mind. One other string that you definitely need to know about with Liu Kang is 1-2 is actually plus. If I go to try to stand 1, can't. If I go to down 1, I can, because it's a high. It's a high, so I can down 1. But what can a Liu Kang do in order to stop that? Alright, he can just go forward 4. A lot of times what Liu Kang players will do is 1-2 and then go into the forward 4. Now, when you're in that situation and 1-2 hits, alright, you're in a situation where you're at an extreme risk versus reward scenario. So the risk for challenging a follow-up 1-2, you're going to have to use down 1 or down 3. Alright, so the reward is minimal off of challenging after the 1-2 plus frames, because he can forward 4 you into a full combo. The reward off of that is just getting your turn back. So when you play against the Liu Kang, you have to have this kind of mindset. I need to challenge when the risk versus reward is slanted most heavily in my favor. The instances where the risk versus reward is going to be most in your favor, where you're going to get the most damage for the risk that you're taking, with the risk being as low as possible, is off of the forward 4-3. That gap in there, you're going to force the Liu Kang player to either do something risky in order to not get punished, or you're going to punish him for going with the up 3 or with going into another stagger off of the forward 4. So in that situation, that's the best time to challenge a Liu Kang player. Not off 1-2. Also, the forward 3, when he only utilizes the 2 hits, that's the best time as well. So those 2 instances are the best risk versus reward scenario for you to challenge a Liu Kang player. Now, if a Liu Kang player is constantly 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and he's really abusing it, you can down 1 to take your turn back, because both of those hits are high and it's going to whiff. But keep in mind, if you do challenge and he decides to go with the forward 4, you're getting full combo punished. So to play against a Liu Kang, a good competent Liu Kang, it's very much a cerebral game. You have to pick and choose your moments to challenge. You have to understand risk versus reward when it comes to a fighting game. You have to understand what you're going to gain by pushing a button. Always make sure that whenever you push a button or do something in a fighting game, it has a purpose, it has a meaning, and there is some type of mindset behind it as to why you're going to do it. A lot of times people just be pushing buttons to push buttons. They don't really understand why they're doing it. They feel like they just should do it. You should always have a rationale and a thought process as to when you're going to challenge your opponent, and make sure that you can, fully grasp and understand those concepts. They're a little bit above the average player's mindset a lot of times when it comes to that, but it's something that you really have to grasp in order to become a good player, especially if you're playing against a very good Liu Kang, because a player that utilizes a character like this, they understand their risk versus reward, and they're going to manipulate it and try to slant it in their favor at all times. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If there are any questions about fighting against Liu Kang, about his pressure, when to push buttons, any of that kind of stuff, the risk versus reward idea and philosophy, just put it down in the comment section. I'll be glad to go over anything with all of you about this type of concept and how this works in a matchup that is as polarizing as Liu Kang. So that's it. As always, I want to thank you for checking in. It's Jay Gleez signing out. Don't forget to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and click the bell to make sure you get notified whenever I post new content. Again, as always, thanks for checking in. It's Jay Gleez signing out, and continue to game strong.